Hi everyone, Dan here, and I've been really looking forward to doing this cooking demo tonight. This is one of my favorite curries. It's from my light cookbook. It's the Sri Lankan black pepper chicken curry, which obviously, if you are cooking along with me, you already know that. Um, the last couple of demos I've done have all been curry house style curries, and this is a real authentic one I learned over in Sri Lanka, and I'll tell you a little bit about that tonight. But one thing I wanted to do by showing this, because it takes longer to make than a curry house style curry, but there's not much to it. A lot of it is just letting the curry stew as it goes. And although there are a lot of ingredients in it, which we'll go through in a second, it shouldn't be as daunting as it looks because a lot of the ingredients are used in lots of different curries, whether they be curry house style curries or authentic. They're all the same, used in lots of different curries. So let's go over and check out what we have and what we're going to be putting into this curry right now. All right, so I've got, as you can see here, some chicken. Now the chicken I'm using, I would normally, if I were cooking this for myself, just to make things easy on myself and also for flavor, I would use chicken on the bone. So it'd be something like thighs or just something, just because the bones give it a nice flavor. However, I wrote this for my light book, and the nutritionist said, let's just go with the chicken as it is. So this is just thigh meat, which has been cut into nice big chunks, which we'll put in there. I got some fresh tomatoes, which I just got from my farm shop today, so that's going to be really, really nice in there. Two Asian bay leaves. They seem to be really difficult to find these days, and if you can't find them, leave them out. It's not a big deal. And we've got some cinnamon, 3 cardamom pods, and some cloves. And one thing I do want to tell you about this is we're going to be doing infusing some spices into oil before we actually start adding the onions and that type of thing. So we'll do that first. But spices cook in different, they get to a smoking point at different times. So we want to cook them in a certain order, which we'll be doing tonight. And because all of us have different pans, it might take a little bit longer. So I'm going to make sure I give my pan plenty of time to heat up, and then hopefully yours will be heated up enough too, so that we can just get started. Now, on top of these whole spices, I got 2 tablespoons of black pepper. You can use less if you like to. We've already mentioned the cardamoms. I got some cumin seeds here, some mustard seeds. That's what we'll be starting it out with. Then I've got some cumin, some coriander, some turmeric, and some chili powder. And as I've said in the past, chili powder is one of those things you need to be careful with. Use a little bit less than I do if you want, because you don't want it to be too spicy. Then I've got some soy sauce, and I've had a few people ask today, what's soy sauce, light or dark? And really, it's up to you. If you use a light soy sauce, you're going to get a saltier flavor. If you use a dark soy sauce, it's a little bit thicker than the light, and it's not as salty. So it's really up to you. And in fact, in my book, I say to use 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And as you can see, I'm using a bit more than that tonight, just because I like it. And soy sauce is kind of like salt. If I tell you to use 2 tablespoons of salt, and that's too salty for you, then I've ruined your dish. So I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that you just kind of start out with a tablespoon of soy sauce, top it up if you want to at the end. I've got 2 finely chopped onions here. I got some curry leaves, which will be going in with the whole spices at the beginning. A couple of green chilies. Then I've got some thinly sliced onions and some green pepper and garlic and ginger paste. On top of that, of course, we've got our oil that we're going to be cooking with and some coconut milk. So let's just get all this stuff over to the side and heat up our pans. If you haven't started heating up your pan and your oil, this would be a good time to do it. I'm going to start mine now too. Okay, so as this might be new to some of you, I do want to just warn you, when we're starting with these whole spices, you don't want to burn them. And some of the spices that will burn and become bitter in flavor are the cumin. So you need to be very careful with that cumin. The others are pretty hardy, but the cloves can get a little bit smoky too and turn bitter. So what we're going to do, and I'll start add 2 tablespoons of oil there to my pan. And I just want this to heat up a bit because as it heats up, it's going to come up to a really hot temperature, and that's perfect for mustard seeds. Now, where I said you have to be careful with some spices, mustard seeds aren't one of them. Mustard seeds, you really want to put them into the oil and have the oil be really hot, and so they pop. You want to hear them pop and crackle. And as they pop and crackle, they will start to release some of their flavor, and that's what you want to do. Don't get the oil hot enough, and yeah, you'll still get some flavor from it if you bite into a mustard seed, but you won't get that into the oil and into the rest of the sauce. So that's why we want to start with this. So I'm going to go ahead and add these, about a teaspoon of mustard seeds. And as that comes up to heat, it'll begin to pop. Right? I can hear them crackling now. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but I can hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce the temperature now, because I don't want that to be, I don't want to burn my other spices, so I'm going to bring my temperature right down to about medium, and then I'm going to add the cinnamon, cardamoms, and the cloves. And let's throw these in as well. And really all we're doing here is we're just infusing those spices, the flavor of the spices, into the oil. And we're going to do that for about 30 seconds. And I'm going to do a little bit longer just in case some of you have pans that aren't heating up. This is a difficult pan to heat up because it's clay, so it takes a little bit of time. But I just want to make sure everyone's kind of catching up with me so that we can all do this together. That's looking nice and bubbly there now. So I'm going to add my curry leaves, fresh curry leaves. If you don't have them, too bad, because they are my favorite spice. Now we'll add that chopped onion. To that, I'm going to add just a pinch of salt, which will help release the flavor, release some of the moisture in those onions. We want those to simmer there, so just watch your onions, make sure you don't burn them. We want those to just sit there and simmer for about, 3 minutes or so, just kind of soften the onions. And then we'll be adding the rest of the stuff. So hopefully everyone's keeping up here. I will try, I don't want to get carried away and go too fast. So hopefully everyone's keeping up, and you'll be enjoying this very soon. I just love this recipe. So what I've been wanting to make for a long time, but wasn't sure how easy that would be to do live, because obviously we need to cook the chicken and make sure that everything cooks down. So we might find at the end of this that you need to let yours simmer a little bit longer after it finishes. But with any luck, I cut my chicken pieces quite small. With any luck, everyone's going to be finishing around the same time and having dinner around the same time as well. All right, so as you can see here, we got our onions. They're getting nice and soft in that oil. And it is smelling so good. I don't know how many of you have curry leaves. They are my favorite herb of all time. So it's I love cooking with them. I know they're hard to come by, but you can get them online. And if you do happen to get curry leaves and find a place that has lots of curry leaves, go ahead and buy them up. Buy several packs because they freeze so well. Stay away from the dry stuff. The dry curry leaves have absolutely no flavor and they're a waste of money. If you can get some fresh leaves and use them or freeze them, you'll be very happy. You can just take those out of the freezer and use as you want to. So this is looking really good now. So to that, I'm going to add these chilies. Again, with chilies, if I say, I can't remember if I said add 2 or 3 or whatever I said, but that's about how much I normally would put into this. If you're afraid of putting too much chili in, then don't do that. Just add more later if you like. You can easily eat it raw on the side or on top of it later. Give that a nice stir. All right. Now we're going to add our ground spices. So I got to put about a teaspoon of cumin in there. Teaspoon coriander, ground coriander, roughly, really roughly. Teaspoon turmeric, get a nice color.
Deborah says, does she need the lid on? You don't need the lid on.
Not yet, but yes, you will need the lid on in a second. And it's not essential, but it helps. So we'll put that in a sec. And now we're going to add some chili powder, and I'm adding about a teaspoon of that too. And again, like the green chilies, be careful if you're not sure.
And then Libby asks at the end, can you put it in a slow cooker to cook for longer if you have larger chicken pieces on the bone?
Yes, you could. There's no reason why you couldn't do that. So the most important thing is getting these onions and everything cooked and nicely cooked, and the spices, the whole spices, just flavoring that oil, which is hard to do in a slow cooker. But once you've got to this stage, you can put everything in a slow cooker, and it will be just fine. So that's looking really nice now. I'm going to add my garlic and ginger paste. I'll put about 2 tablespoons in there. Give that a stir as well. Now the reason why we put our garlic and ginger paste in now is because, like some spices, garlic and ginger, well, especially garlic, has a tendency to burn. So you don't want to burn your garlic. So you want to get your onion cooked before you add the garlic. In some cuisines, they add the garlic with the onions, or even before, but it has a different flavor. So if you want to have an authentic Indian flavor with the garlic tasting as it should, I do like burnt garlic, but some people don't. You want to make sure that the garlic always goes in after the onions. All right. To this, I'm going to add my chicken now. So that's about 1 kilo of chicken thigh. Get that nice stir. You want all of those ingredients, those nice ingredients you've been working so hard on. You want them to mix well with the chicken. Most of the cooking is going to be done through the simmering, in the simmering stage. Right now we're just kind of browning them for about a minute, a couple of minutes. So we want to get a little bit of color, but obviously it's not going to be anywhere near cooked yet. Hopefully everyone's keeping up and everything. If not, you have a couple of minutes to catch up, because like I say, we're going to just sit there and let those brown for a bit. That's looking and smelling really nice. All right, to that I want to add my tomatoes. I'm going to put those in. my soy sauce, my black pepper, and I'm putting it all in. Gives it a nice black, it gives it like a darker color when it's finished. Black pepper, by the way, that was before chilies were introduced to India and Sri Lanka, and all these Asian countries from the Portuguese and Spanish and all these countries that were visiting and exploring the New World. They took all these chilies over to India. But before then, they got their heat through garlic, ginger, and black pepper. And they also have these little black peppercorns, not peppercorns, but long peppers that taste very much like black pepper, but they're longer and they're more intense. And they just throw loads of those in there.
Michael says, could you use pre-cooked chicken?
Yes, you can use pre-cooked chicken. There's no reason why not. You just don't want to overcook your chicken, because obviously if you're starting with cooked chicken and then you start simmering it for a while, it will overcook after a while. But you should be pretty safe doing that. And also, if you are using pre-cooked chicken, try and use some of the broth as well. That'll give it a nice sauce mixture to it, which because a lot of the flavor is going to come from the actual meat. And you won't get that if it's already cooked.
Alan says, can we buy the aprons?
Yes, you sure can. And just let me know if you want, and you DM me or right.
Yeah, we've got lots here.
We got lots. All right, so we're getting to the point now where I just want to cover this for a few minutes. But before I do that, I've got my green peppers and my sliced onions. So we have the chopped onions, which are kind of breaking down in the sauce right now. And then these thinner onions, which are just going to give it a different texture. Just throw all that in there.
Terry says he's not a big fan of cumin. If you use ground cumin, would it be okay?
Yes, you can use it. And obviously, if you don't like an ingredient, don't use it. Just leave it out. Because there's no point in putting something into a curry that you don't like. So I'm a big fan of cumin, but there's a few things I don't like, and I don't put them in. Even if the recipe calls for it, there's no reason why you have to put that in there. Okay, now I want you all who are cooking with me to cover your pans now and turn it to a nice low temperature. And just let that cook in there. And what's going to happen is those onions that we just put in there, the chicken, the peppers, all that, they're going to release moisture, and that's going to become part of the sauce. You still want to check it though. So I'm not gonna. I don't trust this pan because it's clay. So I am gonna check it every now and then in the next couple of minutes, just as those vegetables are becoming soft, and I want to make sure I'm not burning anything to the bottom. And it's depending on your pan, you do want to watch that because some pans.
Someone asked where you got the pan from. You got that one from in Sri Lanka, didn't you?
Yeah, I brought this back from Sri Lanka. I brought two back from Sri Lanka, and unfortunately, one is just an ornament now because it has I can see there's a crack going through it, and I absolutely loved that pan. But they obviously don't last forever. Luckily, it never broke, so it's a nice whole pan, and I've used it for about 5 years now. So I've used this other. I'm using this new one here. You can get these online here in the UK though, and it's probably a lot easier than putting it in your luggage going back from Sri Lanka. I didn't know that at the time, so that's what I did.
Sorry, and Libby says you used a coarse black pepper. Would finer pepper make it too hot?
No, you just want to be a bit careful there because obviously there's more pepper to it. So if it's really fine, I would just say add a teaspoon of black pepper, and then when we're almost finished with all this and your chicken's cooked through and everything, taste it. It's all about getting that balance. If you get the right balance for yourself, not my recipes, because my recipe, that's my balance. That's the way I want things. But if you taste it at the end, you think, oh, it needs some more black pepper, put that in there. It needs more soy sauce, do that. Just make it right for you, and you'll be much happier with the end product. So then, I'm going to give this a nice stir again now. And it's looking really, really nice. But see how these vegetables that I added last are still nice and whole. They're going to look really good floating in that the end. Because obviously the chopped onions are all broken down now. They're just part of the sauce. But we have these nice sliced onions and peppers. They're just going to add so much to the presentation. Take your spoon and break down. If you haven't done so already, break down some of the tomatoes you put in there. You'll just add to the sauce. So you see how much sauce is in here now. I only put a little bit of soy sauce in there, but all that sauce is just from the vegetables. Just get that really good stir. As you can see, I don't know if you're looking at your ingredients and what you started with, we're almost done. Now the thing to do is add some coconut milk. Don't think I'll do that yet. I'm just gonna let this, look at all that moisture. See that? See that? See how easy that is? So that's how it should look. And we're going to put, when we put the coconut milk in there, it's gonna become even saucier, but we'll turn the heat up at that stage. And we'll just cook that down until you're happy with the consistency. So that might also be something that is different to you than for me. So if you want, you can let it just be really saucy with lots of coconut milk in there, and that's perfect for you. Pour it over some rice or whatever you want to eat it with. If you prefer a drier curry and you want to maybe eat it with some chapati or something like that, that's fine too. It's just a matter of cooking it down, because the curry is pretty much done now. So it's just really a matter of perfecting it for your own personal taste. Okay, so now I'm going to add some coconut milk. That's a little bit more than I need, so I'm not going to add it all. But about 400 milliliters there, coconut milk. You can use, like I just have, light coconut milk, because it's in my light book to say to use that. Obviously in Sri Lanka, they're not going to be going to the shop and buying light coconut milk. They got so many fresh coconuts over there. They use fresh coconuts, and they are amazing. And I have made coconut milk lots of times with fresh coconuts, but it just doesn't seem the same as over there when I do it. So it's probably better than anything you'll get tinned. Oh, looks like somebody's looks like somebody's texted me. Do I have to go out on my bike tomorrow, Caroline? I hope not. I don't want to. All right. Let me give this a try. Oh, yeah.
Laura Axtell saying it looks amazing. Everyone's saying it needs.
So is everyone's curry looking roughly like mine is right now? And if you have any questions, because I'm going to let that cook a little bit longer. So if you have any questions or something that's just not working right, or something you want to add to this, I'm here to answer questions. So I can do that.
I think some people's chicken's still not done.
Okay, so in that case, keep it simmering. I'll tell you a little bit about this recipe. I learned it, like I say, in Sri Lanka. And I was over there, I got this surprise email once. This is way before the books. And I got this surprise email from a hotel chain over in Sri Lanka asking me if I wanted to come over as a guest blogger with another group of people. So it was about 3 or 4 of us, I think. Because Marco Pierre White was over there promoting the 25th anniversary of his cookbook. And so he was being entertained and taken to all these different places. And I lucked out and was able to go. So, we just kind of followed him around. Wherever they sent him, they took us as well. And this was I had some beautiful recipes over there. I just absolutely love Sri Lanka. And I love the food. It's just so fresh, and especially the seafood. It's just right out of the sea and really, really good. And there are a couple of the recipes from I think my the halibut recipe, which is actually with kingfish, but that is in my blue book. And I have a couple of others as well. I got another. My next book that's coming out has another one of the Sri Lankan recipes, because I always went into the kitchens whenever I could. There were travel bloggers with me, and there were makeup bloggers, and there's loads of different types of bloggers that were with me on that trip. But I was so interested in the food, so I was always trying to get back in the kitchen and learn a couple recipes, which I did. And this one I actually learned in Colombo at the hotel there. And it's a really amazing place. This restaurant's all outside and everything. And they had about 50 different curries. And no joke, if you look at the at this recipe, so the Sri Lankan black pepper chicken curry on my website, I've taken some pictures, and it just shows one of the tables. There's probably about 4 tables of all these different curries, all cooked in these pots, these clay pots, and they were just stuff that I've never even thought of before, and it was a really amazing.
People are saying, are you adding any coriander?
No, I'm not. It's funny enough. It's not something they use a lot of, at least not that time of year that I was there. And also, I found that in southern India, you seem to use curry leaves like we use coriander over here. So if I had more curry leaves, which I don't, I'd throw those in there now just to give it kind of a different texture as well. So I'd have my curry leaves in there, and I'd add some more. Obviously, if you have some coriander and you like it, throw it in there. There's no reason why you shouldn't. It would be really good.
Helen's wondering why the clay pot's not cracking over that direct heat.
It's a good question. I'm expecting it to break any time
Still
now.
might do.
It still might do, yeah. No, I've actually used it at quite a few demos around the UK, and like my old one, which I said is a little bit cracked. You need to put it over a low heat for a good half hour or so the first time you use it, just to get it started. And then I've had them on really high heats, low heats. I've had this on cooking for like even a curry that I cooked for about 3 hours and it didn't break. So there's something to them. they do work for a while, but like I say, unfortunately, one of my pots I'm not going to be putting on the oven and the stove anymore. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of juice there, and it's really up to you.
Phil's asking about an online shop to get spices from.
I use Spice Kitchen UK, and they have some really good spices, very good quality spices. They also do my spice blends. Also, East End Foods, they used to have a really good shop, but they've closed it down. But most people know the East End brand, and it's a really good brand. So if you go for a shop and you see a lot of East End there, I do recommend them. I've been to their plant. I've seen how they process the spices, and it's just an incredible organization. So if you want to spend a little bit more, you go for someplace like Spice Kitchen UK, and you're going to get really, really good quality. East End Foods, it's really, really good quality too, probably a little bit less expensive.
Adam's saying, is the video going somewhere at a later date?
I'm going to try to, yes. I'm going to try and put it both on my Facebook page, and there's a good chance I'll put it on YouTube. We'll see.
And people are saying the chicken's not cooked yet, but obviously
it depends on the size of your chicken, how large you cut it. I can tell right now that mine definitely is. Let's see here. Take this out. I can just tell that is. Yeah, that's cooked through. But obviously, you want to be careful there. So, you may not have yours on the same heat as I do. There's lots of different factors that can change it. So if it's not cooked through, and this will especially be the case if you've cooked it on the bone. And one thing I will say is if you're using chicken thigh meat, I always use breast in my classes. And the reason for that is that when breast is cooked through, it's going to be white. And it's going to look white, and it's going to look cooked. Thigh doesn't always have that. Thigh has more of a red tinge to it. And so a lot of people think wrongly that thigh meat is not cooked through when it actually is. But be careful, obviously. It shouldn't look raw at all. When you cut it open, it should look cooked, and it should be very hot to the touch. And if anyone wants to put, I think I'm not going to say how hot it has to be. You better look that one up on Google because I always forget. I get my Fahrenheit and my Celsius all mixed up. So, but if you want to be very careful, you can. I would not hesitate now because this has been cooking for a good 10 minutes. I know that chicken is cooked because I've cooked this curry so many times. And please be careful and make sure that your chicken is cooked as well. Any other questions or anything like that? Because it should be about finished for you. You should be able to start eating dinner really soon. One thing I do say always is taste it. I'm going to taste it some more actually. Taste it when your chicken is cooked, obviously. And that can actually be a bit spicier for me. So I'm going to add a little bit more chili powder to that. And I think I'm going to add a little bit more soy sauce as well. Just a little bit. Maybe a tiny bit of salt to taste there. Just to give it a little bit more of a bite. You could continue cooking this if you wanted to for a good 20 minutes. Just let it cook down until you're happy with the consistency. This is perfect for the way I want it because I'm going to be having it with something called mata rice, which is a nice thick rice, very similar to arborio. It's Carolyn red rice, and I'm going to be having mine with that, and it just soaks up the sauce. So it's nice to have a little bit more sauce when you're doing that. Any other questions before we stop? And obviously, I'll be online as well later tonight, and you can ask me questions. You can DM me on my Facebook page as well if you'd rather not put it in the group, but it's completely up to you. I'll be up there doing that. Anyone?
No, there's no questions right now.
Okay. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I think it's worked okay because, yeah, it does take a little bit more time to do something from scratch than it does to use a base sauce and use pre-cooked meats and everything. But like I said, this is one of my favorite curries. Please, if you have a phone to hand or anything like that and you want to take a picture of what you've cooked, I would love to see that in the group. I'm sure other people would as well. So
Ian says, will he serve this with a bread?
I would serve it with chapatis anytime. I love chapatis. Or a lot of times they're served with the palm. So I'm not sure if you've ever seen the spongy bread. It's kind of the same type of batter as you use for doses, and that's amazing. And that's one thing I really want to do on here is cook doses with you. But I have to figure out how I'm going to do that because it does take some work. Maybe it'd have to be 2 shows. But yeah, that's really nice because it's a fermented bread that they use to dip in there. But obviously rice, chapati will be fine as well.
Well, someone says mine seems quite dry. Can I add water?
Yes, you can add water, you can add tomato, you can add more coconut milk. Anything that's going to improve that for you, go ahead and add what you need to. Don't forget, I bought some quite plump cherry tomatoes today. Yours might be a little bit smaller, may not have the same juice, or you might not put as much coconut milk in. So always adjust these things and don't feel like you have to stick with the recipe. Cook with your eyes and your mouth, and you'll be much happier than if you just read the recipe. All right? Okay. Well, hey, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying being in the group. Like I say, if you want to get some pictures, take some pictures of what you've cooked. I'm sure people would love to see them. I know I would. And we'll see you next Thursday at 7 o'clock. And thank you very much.